Our next debate is House District 57, and it is made up of all of our Garfield County and Pitkin County and the southwestern part of Eagle County. Here to moderate the House District 57 debate is Brad McLeod, immediate past chair of Club 20 and area manager of community relations in Western Colorado for one of our wonderful venue sponsors today, Xcel Energy.
Good morning. Thank you, Brittany. I sincerely appreciate that. I am Brad McLeod, and I am honored to moderate the House District 57 debate this morning. This is your first spirited debate of the morning, so I hope you're ready and excited for it. We would like to welcome Democrat candidate Elizabeth Velasco and welcome Republican candidate Caleb Waller to the stage at this time. All right, thank you both for joining us. We sincerely appreciate that, and we also appreciate both of your willingness to serve Western Colorado. Before we begin, we would like to go over some of the ground rules. Candidates should focus on ideas, not personalities. Candidates should be courteous and should not make inflammatory statements. Disrespectful or attacking speech or profane language will not be tolerated. I've been informed that's even of the moderator. We will do our best. Candidates may not display any props of any kind. Candidates must strictly adhere to the time limitations of each section for the debate, and the moderator reserves the right to cut off a candidate who exceeds their time limit or to redirect a candidate if those remarks are not pertinent to the elected office that they are seeking. Do you both agree to these rules?
Yes.
Yes.
All right. Additionally, we ask all audience members to exhibit professional decorum during these debates. I know you all will. Limited applause is allowed, but unruly outbursts or disruptions are prohibited. And the debate moderator, that's me, may penalize a candidate's time if their supporters are unable to maintain their decorum. Audience members should also be aware that these debates will be limited, filmed, and are live streamed for public viewing. With that, we will begin our opening remarks. And we had conducted a coin toss backstage beforehand. Candidate Velasco has chosen to begin the opening remarks, and therefore you will have 2 minutes for those opening remarks. Time will begin when you start speaking.
Thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. I'm Representative Elizabeth Velasco, and I proudly represent House District 57 here in the Western Slope. I want to thank Club 20 for bringing us together, for all their engagement in all the things that we care about here in the Western Slope. I also want to thank my opponent for participating in democracy. And it has been the honor of my life to represent my district. I grew up here, I had my small business here, I volunteered here, I fought fires here as a wildland firefighter and public information officer. And I look forward to continuing to advocate for your vote, for your treasure, and your support. In my first term, I served in the Agriculture, Water, and Natural Resources Committee, where I was able to support our farmers and ranchers and the heritage and our way of life here in a rural community. I served in the Energy and Environment Committee, where we created guidelines for hydrogen energy that are now the federal standards. We are leading when it comes to clean energy. We want everyone in our communities to be able to have access to affordable, reliable energy. I also serve in the Appropriations Committee, where we're able to support all the budget and all the funding that is needed for the things that we care about. So it has been an honor. I also served as the chair of the Wildfire Matters Committee, an interim committee where we look at how to continue to make our communities more resilient against a changing climate and making sure that we don't leave anyone behind. And I know that we are stronger together, and it's an honor to be here with y'all today.
Candidate Velasco, thank you. Candidate Waller, now your 2 minutes for your opening remarks. They will start when you start speaking.
Awesome. Guys, I'm excited to be here. I'm Caleb Waller. and I'm excited to be your next representative for House District 57. Someone who will work for everyone, the new immigrant to the fifth-generation rancher. I launched my campaign for House District 57 on the vision of togetherness. But because we see a nation divided with growing political differences, but if we come together, we can restore hope and shape a brighter future for Colorado. Why am I running? We're at a crossroads. Excessive regulations are infringing on our freedoms, hurting our economy, and if we don't fight for Western Colorado now, our children won't have a future here. Housing costs are soaring to the highest they've ever been, and the only solutions that are coming from the government has been higher taxes, more handouts, resulting in less affordability. Let's change that. Let's build an economy based on innovation, market-driven solutions, and new ideas that benefit everyone. It's time to put people, not the government, in charge of our future. District 57 is a place for pioneers and dreamers. If you invest in it, it will give back tenfold. Together, we can lead in energy, showing the world what's possible with nuclear, geothermal, oil and gas, renewable solutions. In education, let's return to the basics, reading, writing, and arithmetic, giving our kids the foundations to succeed without pushing adult topics on them. Thank you, Club 20, for organizing this debate, and I'm looking forward to giving the voters a chance to see the differencing in policies between Representative Velasco and myself.
Thank you both very much. Now we will move into the question and answer. Fair enough. Now we'll move into the question and answer portion of the debate. Each candidate will be asked to respond to 4 questions that were submitted by our Club 20 members and our partners. Each candidate will have 1 minute to respond to each of those questions, and the candidate who goes first will also be given a 30-second response as a rebuttal to the other candidate's response for that particular question. The candidate that went first in opening remarks will offer the first response to the first question. Little side note, everybody has just been handed these questions, or at least I was, so I haven't even seen them, so if I screw up reading them, please give me a little grace. I'm seeing them for the first time. Are you ready, candidates? Excellent. First question will be directed with candidate Velasco. You will be our first respondent. Colorado's roots were founded in agriculture. If elected, how will you work to protect agriculture and defend agricultural water rights?
Thank you so much. In my first term, I was very proud, as I said, to serve in the Agriculture, Water, and Natural Resources Committee. I was proud to support our ranchers and farmers to be able to have the resources that they need to thrive. I supported all of the bills that were brought forward, also supported and was part of many of the conversations around water. I do believe that water is the most important thing that we have here in the Western Slope. We are a headwater state, and here in Colorado, we really know the importance of protecting of our wetlands, or making sure that we are responsible with our usage, and we have always elevated that responsibility, and it's time that we also make sure that our neighbors are also following on those compromises. And I look forward to supporting our water plan and being part of those negotiations on our water compacts coming up.
Thank you. Candidate Waller, 1 minute, your response.
So I grew up an organic farmer just outside of Nashville, Tennessee. And then I spent 14 years in Israel working in agriculture development. Water is a key component to all of this. The other thing is, I live on the Colorado River, so I look at Colorado water every day. So it's important to me. You know, Colorado is the only state in which no river or tributary flows into it, meaning we're extremely generous as a state, and we give a lot to the states around us. So to protect the interest of farmers, 100%. Protecting water in Western Colorado, 100%. That will be the center of everything I do when it comes to legislation, making sure that our farmers and that the residents of Western Colorado have access to water, and they never have to worry about the federal government or other states in the lower basin reaching up and grabbing and taking away from us. It's important that we protect water, and that's a given, non-negotiable. As a farmer, I will fight for that.
Thank you very much. Candidate Velasco, you have a 30-second rebuttal.
in the time that I have served, it has been clear that as we see federal protections being pulled back, it's important for us to take charge and make sure that all resources are protected. Water is so vital for all of us to be able to have access to healthy foods, to be able to have our children have access to healthy foods. So I will continue to be a champion for farmers and ranchers and our access to clean and drinkable water and protecting our Colorado River and our watersheds.
Thank you very much. Also, for both candidates, if I read a question and you're the second to respond and would like me to repeat the question, feel free to ask and I'll be happy to do that. Our second question, candidate Waller, you'll be the first to respond. Energy production is an important economic driver for our communities on Colorado's western slope. Do you support an all of the above energy policy? And for you, what does that look like?
Absolutely. So as I spoke earlier in my opening remarks, talking about the legislative layers that are happening, we're finding in Colorado that even the regulators, when they show up to regulate oil and gas or oil and gas pads, they themselves don't even know what to do. Like, they themselves don't fully comprehend what's happening. And I believe that what I mean by all of the above, it means that, hey, let's dream. Let's be good stewards of this land that God's given us. But at the same time, if your intention at the state level is to regulate oil and gas out of business, you have no business representing Western Colorado. But if your interest, thank you, if your interest is to make sure that we're the cleanest and we do it the best, then I'm your number one fan. I'm in there talking to executives from oil and gas industries. Those guys are working hard to meet the needs of Western Colorado and provide a thriving economy. And let's do it together. Everything from renewables to geothermal to nuclear to hydrogen. Let's dream. And I believe we can do this together.
Thank you. Representative Velasco?
Thank you so much. Here in Colorado, we have aggressive goals when it comes to clean energy and emissions reductions. We have our roadmap. We are looking at meeting all of our goals. In Colorado, we did pass regulations around creating guidelines for geothermal, for hydrogen. We fought to be part of the hydrogen hub efforts. We didn't get that, but our standards are the federal standards. And in Colorado, we also passed a law to do a study on what small nuclear reactors if that would work for us here in the Western Slope, as we see our just transition away from coal. So it's very, very important for us to be able to have that reliable and affordable energy for all our community members. So I am supportive of everything that Colorado has done to be a leader in the clean energy space.
Thank you. Candidate Waller, your
Yes.
30 seconds for a response.
It's funny to talk about being a supporter of clean energy, but to me, is if your objective in doing that is to drive the others out of business just so that yours will work, that doesn't work in my mind. It has to meet the market. The market has to support what happens, otherwise it's not sustainable. The only way that solar is working, the only way all these other renewable energies are working is because the government is subsidizing it by 30%. And that's coming out of direct pockets of the taxpayers. And guys, we gotta work on something better than that. It's not gonna work.
Thank you. All right, for our third question, we'll start with candidate Velasco. Western Slope residents regularly suffer from frequent closures of major highways, especially I-70, which recently has been closed for far more often than ever before. More recently, residents have been impacted by the ongoing US 50 projects that seem to take longer to fix than expected, forcing multiple-hour detours and, in some cases, no route in or out. What can you do to elevate the state priority for highways that the Western Slope depends on?
Thank you so much. So I represent the Glenwood Canyon, the area with the most road closures and crashes along the I-70 corridor nationwide. So that's why this year I passed a law together with Senator Roberts to make sure that semis were not able to pass on the left, to make sure that they're driving at the right speed through our canyon. I also passed laws around protecting our healthy forests to make sure that we don't have more fires that cost weeks closures. And I-70 is that gateway to the West. It's so important for our economy, for our way of life. And I am committed to continuing to do that work. On my first year, I convened our federal delegation, our local electeds, and the Western Slope delegation to make sure that we're coming together to find solutions. I also advocated for the funding that we need for our infrastructure projects here in the Western Slope.
Thank you very much. Candidate Waller, 1 minute.
Absolutely. Yes, every hour that the Glenwood Canyons close down, millions of dollars of industry is lost on the Western Slope, right? It's shocking to me to think about how much I-70 is the lifeblood. I personally work in hospitality, and there's been multiple times I've gotten calls from guests that say, hey, we're stuck in dot zero, or we're stuck here, what do we do? And I'm like, and the only option I can tell them is, well, I guess go up through Steamboat, or whatever. And it's like, that's 4 hours. And so it is an essential problem for us here to address these issues and to figure creative ways to figure out how to address the Glenwood Canyon and elsewhere, from mudslides, from fires, from ice to snow. And so it boils down to giving the local departments and the road crews the things that they need to be able to get the job done effectively. And I can tell you as a legislator, it affects me, it affects all of us here, and that will be my job as your representative to make sure I-70 stays open and that we can continue to thrive here on the Western Slope.
Thank you very much. Candidate Velasco, you have 30 seconds for rebuttal.
Thank you so much. And as an elected official, it has been very important for me to bring all the voices to the table, from our workers who are commuting to our fire districts, to our first responders, to make sure that we're addressing the issues together, that the solutions are going to work for us, and that we're working together towards that goal. So I am very proud of the work that I have done and all the resources that we have been able to secure for our Western Slope projects.
Thank you very much. All right, Candidate Waller, you'll be the first to answer our fourth question. It is well recognized that the concerns and priorities of Western Colorado and often rural Colorado often differ from those of our metropolitan communities of Colorado's Front Range. How do you propose to effectively represent the balance of the drivers and sometimes competing interests of our state?
Absolutely. Well, first and foremost, you have to listen to your community. You have to listen to your constituents, and you have to ask them, what do you need? What's important to you? What do you, as a business owner, or as a rentor, or 9-to-5 worker, how can I best represent you? It's not about the best interest of Caleb Waller. It's about the best interest of the 64,000 registered voters that I'm taking to Denver. Every conversation I've had, I tell them it's like a little drop in the bucket that's going to influence the policies that I hope to represent there. I know for sure the number one thing I hear from people is housing. Housing is a crisis here. How do we free the market up so that, or how do we free up basically legislation that is creating such burdens on local developers to the point where we don't have housing? But at the same time, how do you balance the idea of keeping rural Colorado rural? How do we keep it the dream place that all of us want to live in? My friends, I hope to go there and to listen to every one of you with that message.
Thank you very much. Candidate Velasco, your 1 minute response.
Thank you so much. On my first term, I have been very proud to be able to work with anyone that cares about the priorities for the Western Slope, across party lines and across geography in the state. And it has been an honor to educate and share how the issues affect us in a different way here in the Western Slope, to make sure that I'm working on amendments on my colleagues' bills, that when I'm priming legislation, that it comes from our district, that is addressing the pressing needs that we care about, like affordable housing, like access to clean water, like protecting our watersheds, or wetlands, or way of life, or heritage. So I have been very proud to being able to be an effective legislator. I have passed 33 bills in my first 2 years, and I have been fearless in sharing how important our priorities are here in the Western Slope.
Thank you very much. Candidate Waller, your 30-second rebuttal.
Absolutely. It's something I care deeply about, something that every day I think about, how can I bring the interest of Western Colorado to the Capitol? Because I can tell you, many of the people here that I talk to are scared of what's being forced on them. They don't have freedom. The things that Boulder and Denver and elsewhere are pushing on them is something that they're afraid that, like, with the wolf introduction, with the new law on big cats, they're like, is that just going to pass in population or by voters, or are we going to have freedom here?
Thank you very much. All right, now we're going to move into the cross-examination portion of our debate. Each candidate will be given 4 minutes to ask questions of their opponent on matters pertinent to their race, the race for their office. Now, please be reminded that questions should be pertinent to the office that you are running for and should not include any attacking speech or profound language. I reserve the right to redirect a candidate if their remarks are not pertinent to the elected office or are out of line. After the coin toss, it was decided, Candidate Waller, you will begin the 4-minute cross-examination, which will begin when you start speaking.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Velasco, first question I have for you is, who do you represent?
I proudly represent the people here in House District 57.
Thank you. Awesome. So, there was a recent post that was put out recently that says we'd like to thank, in the Post-Independent, thank Elizabeth Velasco for the $5 million that she brought into this district to help support the new immigrant population. What immigrants are we talking about?
Could you repeat the question?
You funneled $5 million into the district. Basically, it was a Post-Independent said, thank Elizabeth Velasco for getting $5 million to bring into the district to support the new immigrants that are in the area. How was that money used? What was it used for? Just curious. I didn't see a breakdown on that. A lot of people are asking me that question, like, hey, we love immigrants, but at the same time, if they're creating such a burden on the tax industry, on us as voters, what are we doing?
Thank you so much for that question. So last winter, we saw 200 people that were living under a bridge, and it was important for communities to stand up for human rights and make sure that no one died. So the town of Carbondale set up shelters to be able to support our new arrivals and people who were in need. And I advocated for funding those $5 million. A $200 grant was given to the city of Carbondale. And as we saw, the migrants that were being bused into Denver, so the funding went all over the state to support human rights and support people who are fleeing the horrible conditions in their countries. Like, that is the American dream. That
Awesome.
is
Yep,
what this country was funded on. So I was very proud to secure funding for Carbondale and support human rights.
Awesome. Thank you. So you said 200,000 went to Carbondale. That's a small drop in the bucket to the rest. You're saying the rest of it just went to kind of distribute them? So I guess that brings up the next question. You've worked very closely with an organization called Voices Unitas. Obviously, they're a 501c3, they're a 501c4, and a super PAC. There's some concerns from voters in regards to how is that relationship ethical in your position?
Thank you. I have been very proud to volunteer with Voces Unidas on food distribution, on vaccination clinics, on supporting our community, on holding our elected officials accountable. And I am always working with many nonprofits. I am proud to have the C4 endorsements and the support to my campaign, and will continue to work with all our nonprofits that do all the great work here in the district.
So you've mentioned multiple times in times we've talked is that you've worked with municipalities and with local governments and county level commissioners and things. Chatting with one of the commissioners the other day, they said you've never come before them in your time as a representative. How have you worked with Garfield County if you've never been in the office with them?
I have been very proud to convene the county commissioners from the 3 counties that I represent. The county commissioners in Garfield County have never responded any of my emails or my phone calls, so we have not been able to meet, but I have been proud to work with all of the departments in Garfield County, from Human Services, the Public Health Department, or Police Department, and all the departments that do all the work to make sure that our community is safe. So it has been a partnership where I expect them to do better to serve our communities, and look forward to having conversations around them being able to serve everyone.
So question really quick, how do you justify your efforts in shutting down oil and gas on the western slope?
I have been very proud to support closing orphan wells and making sure that everyone in our community has access to clean air and clean water.
Thank you very much. Now we will move over candidate Velasco. You will get 4 minutes to ask questions of candidate Waller. The time will begin when you first start asking questions.
Thank you so much. I have been a champion for public education and public schools and a new funding formula that works for rural schools. Can you share why you believe that is in the best interest of Colorado families to support partisan school board members that want to implement the birthright curriculum that has been rejected by the State Board of Education and Republicans and Democrats in our district?
Thank you for asking the question. Number one, there was 3 curriculums that were brought forth in RE2 school district to be analyzed by the board as well as by the parents. The American Birthright curriculum was not accepted, and which to me, it didn't pass the test in the end. And so the recall efforts that you guys spearheaded were completely political. And in my mind, if we start recalling people based on the fact that we just simply disagree with their policies, the list is going to get out of control, and we're no longer going to be able to just simply accept the results of a ballot.
Thank you so much. Recall efforts are definitely the way of community to hold us accountable. So I was happy to support the recall effort in RE2 and happy that we won. For my next question, we are all aware of the housing crisis in our communities. I believe that we must be intentional in funding affordable housing projects. You were quoted in the paper saying that you don't believe in the state subsidizing affordable housing. Can you share your plan on solving the housing crisis and what you plan to do to support essential workers, including teachers, police officers, firefighters, nurses, and working families that are essential for local economies to survive?
Absolutely. I guess the biggest question that I would respond with that is do you want to fix the problem today, or do you want to pass it to your kids? I personally don't want to hand a problem to my kids. And right now, the solutions that I've seen from you, Representative Velasco, have been ones that say, let's just put a Band-Aid on the problem for right now. Let's pass out a few more government subsidies. Let's see if we can just do some rent controls. Let's see if we can, maybe lower, force tenants or to basically face greater legislation. And what happens with that is it doesn't solve the problem. Free market is the only solution moving forward, giving the people the freedom to live as they choose on the Western Slope and not handing out candy now, expecting that down the road that snowball is not just going to create a bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger problem that our kids are just not going to be able to afford.
Thank you so much. And I do want to share how Gen Z is the generation that is closest to homelessness ever. So thank you so much for that. And my next question, as a state representative, it has been important for me to tour the district, to hear and partner with our municipalities on their priorities, and to advocate on the issues that matter to constituents. Can you name 3 infrastructure projects in the district, and how will they benefit our community?
Rephrase the question again, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I would love to hear if you know of 3 infrastructure projects that are happening in the district, in our municipalities, and how they benefit our communities.
I believe in freedom. I believe that as we support our local municipalities and our communities in efforts that they're leading, as a future legislator, I believe in empowering these individuals to do the right jobs and do the jobs well. And I will support them in whatever way possible that I can.
Thank you so much. So I hear that you do not know of any infrastructure projects, and I will name 3 that are up to in the forefront. One is the water plant improvements in Silt to make sure that all our residents have access to clean water. Another one is turning a hotel into 70 affordable housing units, supporting working families in Parachute and Battlement Mesa. We're also supporting the roundabout improvements in Newcastle to make sure that we have access to safe roads.
Time.
Thank you. Good job.
Thank you both very much. We appreciate that. And now we will go into the closing remarks for each candidate. Each candidate will get 2 minutes to present their closing remarks. Once again, based on the coin flip that we had before the debate, we will have an order that has been established. In this case, candidate Waller will go first. You have 2 minutes, which will begin the moment you start speaking.
Awesome. Thank you, Elizabeth Velasco. It's been a pleasure being on the podium with you. Thank you, Club 20. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing a time of choosing. It's time for us to make a decision as to what the future will hold for Western Colorado. I'd like to take a moment to talk about the differences, the important differences, between an activist and a representative. An activist pushes for change through bold actions and protest, often focusing on single issues. A representative, however, is someone who's elected to serve the entire community, listening to everyone and working towards practical solutions that benefit all. Empathy and compassion are also a core of being a true representative. That means being available to hear your concerns, whether it's a phone call to my cell, which is 970-930-1612, or an email to caleb@votewaller.com. I'm here to listen, to understand, and to respond to what truly matters to you. One of my primary goals is to unburden the people of Colorado from the layers and layers of legislation that is making it harder for families and businesses to thrive. My plan is simple. Identify and amend bills that are negatively affecting you. We will work to simplify legislation, making it understandable and ensuring the government's red tape is not a barrier to our success. In this effort, I like that. In this effort, I need your vote to the upcoming election. Together, we can build a prosperous future for Western Colorado. Let's work as a team to make that vision a reality. I'm Caleb Waller, and I'm looking forward to being your representative for House District 57. Thank you.
Candidate Waller, thank you very much. All right. Candidate Velasco, your 2 minutes begin when you start speaking.
Thank you so much. It has been a pleasure and an honor to be here with y'all today. Thank you so much to Club 20. Thank you to our moderator. You did awesome. Also, thank you to candidate Waller for his passion for our community. You know, I believe that we must all work together to make sure that our communities can thrive. I have been very proud to represent House District 57 on my first term. I look forward to continuing to work and address all the things that we care about, like access to abortion, access to healthcare, making sure that our rural communities have the resources to attract and retain talent, that we are funding our schools at the appropriate levels, that we are supporting our essential workers and our firefighters and first responders to make sure that we have a resilient community against a changing climate, that we have safe communities, that we all have access to information to make our own decisions when it comes to our bodies, when it comes to our safety, to continue to address the pressing issues on affordable housing. In our communities, many of our talent is leaving because they're not able to support and care for their families. So it has been an honor. I look forward to continuing to do the work. And I am very proud to come from being an organizer because I have the skills to bring people together, to build coalitions, to be persuasive, and to make sure that we are pushing our priorities forward, that we are getting the resources that we need here in the Western Slope, and that we are always at the forefront and have a strong voice at the Capitol. So I look forward to continuing to ask for your vote, your treasure, your support, and I know that we are stronger together.
Thank you very much. That concludes our debate for House District 57. Personally, I am honored to have gotten to moderate this. Thank you both very much for your time, and thank you on behalf of Club 20 and everybody else here, both of you, for your willingness to serve. Good luck and thank you. Have a great day.
Thank you.